Boy, do I have a treat for you today, because no matter who you are, no matter where you are, everything I'm about to say is going to be relevant, because it's going to be a Pizzeria Monday. A Monday with all pizzeria, or as I like to call them, pizzeria adjacent picks. And why is that? Because I'm sitting here late the night before, and typically all the player props would be out. I see nothing available, and now is when you inevitably check your phone and see that the props are available and say, what do you mean they're available? And you just simply don't realize that this is not live, and it was obviously recorded prior to when those props became available. So when those aren't available, what do I got to do? I got to look down the barrel into the pizzeria and come up with some pizzeria picks. And if you're somehow new and you have no clue what I'm talking about, you're like, wait a minute, I thought this was talking about a pizzeria. What's a pizzeria pick? Is something that you would typically get on the front page of a sports book. Totals, money line, the over 6, the money line for this team to win the game. The regular front page bets that make a boardroom of cadres in a sportsbook somewhere laugh when you place the bet, because they know you have zero edge. However, it's the most popular thing to bet on, because that's what your average person likes. Whether you're using some scam offshore sportsbook or it's something that everybody can take. And today, I'm going to have to look down the barrel at those pizzeria picks here on a holiday Monday. And, to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I wore black. So let's talk about some of these Monday games. And, as far as Friday went, had pretty good reads on what was going to go on in those games. I thought that Carolina game versus Florida would mean more to Carolina, yes. And I even said I smell a 2-2 out there in Anaheim going into overtime or something. Well, that was the case. They played back-to-back overtime games, which were also back-to-back unders, which were also Anaheim wins in, I believe, back-to-back-to-back games. They finally got 3 wins under their belt. And how did they do that? By winning low-scoring games. They lost Terry, they lost Carlson. Both of those guys are going to be out for a little bit. So if they're going to win these games, how are they going to do it? By changing the philosophy. Early in the season, when everybody was enamored, Stevie season, October, when you see all those teams that mean nothing when they start winning, but everybody gets excited. When you saw the Ducks winning these games, they were winning 7-5, exciting, high-scoring games. And then they went through a massive losing spell. And they finally, just last week, dug their way out of it a little bit, and it was with low-scoring defensive performances. And if you heard Joel Quenneville talk about them, he said he was reiterating to his team they have to play a certain type of way until they get some of those players back. That has resulted in a couple of unders. And that brings the New York Rangers to town, where we've seen quite the opposite of unders because of a variety of factors. Number one, we've seen the Rangers just play absolutely no defense and just get waxed by teams like the Ottawa Senators, or anybody really. But to me, this is more about the Ducks. They won 3 in a row. It was on the back of some tighter checking games. And while the Rangers had a great response to that letter from Drury, I don't know how long that will sustain. I'm going to go with the under 6.5 in this game between the Anaheim Ducks and the New York Rangers. Out there in Anaheim, let's see if Anaheim can continue to do what they've been doing in these last couple of games, because if they do that, they're going to try to win a low-scoring game against these New York Rangers. Now, remember, they're missing a lot of their offensive firepower, so they're not scoring as much as they did earlier in the year. I mean, not even close to it. They just won a 2-1 overtime game. And the Rangers, there are many games where their offense just, the whole team doesn't show up. So we could have the right ingredients, or we can get a full waxing. But right now, I don't think that Anaheim team is wax capable. When you're relying on Alex Killorn to be a first-line player, I don't think we're seeing a house of wax. So I'll go with the under 6.5 there. And then, this is a night we're starting west and working our way back east for afternoon games. These Vegas Golden Knights made a big trade over the weekend. Long term, what does it mean for me? Absolutely nothing. All Rasmus Andersson is going to do is replace, to a lesser extent, what Alex Pietrangelo gave them on a game-to-game basis. I think this is the same Vegas Golden Knights team that I've been telling you guys about. It's a worse version of the Golden Knights who were a worse version of the Stanley Cup winning Golden Knights. Stone's older. Carlson is just the most injured man you've ever seen. Riley Smith ain't this. Same reason I told you guys not to take them to make the Stanley Cup last year. You can copy and paste that. But regardless, something that I always like to do, just like what inspired that first pick, was how Anaheim was playing. Couple of home games, or it was home and then road, now then back home, but it was the same kind of style. And then they're just going to roll that over into the next game. The Vegas Golden Knights are playing great at home. I'm not sure if I believe they even came back and won that game against Toronto on the second half of back-to-back. So they're playing very well, and they're playing very well offensively. They've been scoring a lot of goals in these games. I think I mentioned last week when Marner and Dorofeev started playing together, that's the kind of line that I like. You actually have two shooters, because Riley Smith can still shoot, with Dorofeev and a sheer distributor. They're forcing Marner to play center, which kind of shows you who's calling the shots around there. It's been very good for the Vegas Golden Knights. They've been scoring a lot of goals, and they got the Philadelphia Flyers coming into town, who have been conceding a lot of goals because they're getting awful goaltending. Goaltending so awful that the New York Rangers, who couldn't do anything on their own home ice against Ottawa, who's also getting awful goaltending, they couldn't even score against them. And then they dropped a 7-spot or 8-spot or whatever it was over the weekend or against Philadelphia. So this is the type of goaltending you're talking about. So when you have that type of goaltending going into Vegas, like it's not like this game's going to be in Philadelphia, I'm going to go over 3.5 goals for the Vegas Golden Knights against the Philadelphia Flyers in Philly there. And now I'm really looking at this Buffalo Sabres Carolina Hurricanes game, and I'm just asking myself how I said that last game meant more to Carolina than it did to Florida, and it was absolutely the truth. Now, Buffalo was going through that streak of, beating everyone. Then, they lost to Florida. They won a game after that. Then they lost to a shorthanded Minnesota team. So I'm just wondering, are they going to get Carolina's full attention? Because Carolina, after that game, they followed up with another win on the road the very next night. And I'm going to take the over 3.5 goals because, look, we're only doing pizzeria picks here. And I'm obviously not going to take that wild. Hey, you can take one of the, you can take Aho for a point and the money line once that prop becomes available. But as far as pizzeria picks, I guess I'm going to have to go with the over 3.5 goals for the Carolina Hurricanes against the Buffalo Sabres, who I believe you can still score on. And then we'll end with one Donkeyline on the night, looking for value because we're only giving pizzeria picks on a Monday. I don't care what they do. They're going to have maybe every team in the NHL has a good run. Vancouver, just watch. It's going to be April. They're going to win random 7 games in a row. Every team will have a good run at some point. And I just don't care. To me, the Pittsburgh Penguins are exactly whoever the hell they were last year. They're just a non-playoff team who I'm never going to worry about. I do not care. Anyway, they're going to Seattle. Seattle are home underdogs. Do I really care about either of these teams? Do I think either of these teams are very good? Not really. One plays, well, they both kind of play in scam divisions. But you have a team at home who's not that bad, playing against a team who, in my opinion, is not that good. I will take the Seattle Kraken at plus 112. And for all the bashing I did on the Kraken over the years, I want to say something to all 6 of you Kraken fans. In a unforeseen turn of events, so I'm not rooting for them. But as an Islanders fan, when I heard Colby Armstrong say, like, come on, like, it's just blah. Who cares about Seattle? Like, and the reason was, they don't have a superstar and they don't have someone to draw everyone in. What do you want Seattle to do? They're doing the best that they can. They drafted Beniers. They drafted Wright. They're continually playing them. They're trying to take reclamation projects like Kakko. Like the Islanders, you're not getting the free agents signing in Seattle. They're doing what they can and piecing together a team through depth. When the Islanders made those back-to-back conference runs, what do you want them to do? Panarin didn't want to sign with the Islanders, signed for less with the Rangers. We can't force us to be exciting if we don't have the players. So for you Seattle Kraken fans out there, if you happen to be watching this, I can't ever say I'm rooting for you because I'm always going to be. First of all, expansion teams still feel weird to me a good 5 years into their existence. I can't ever forgive this screw job against Colorado where you were nothing before and you've been nothing since. But I kind of like that other teams don't like watching you and other fans don't like watching you. And in that weird case, I'm kind of happy to take them tonight at like a plus 112. So give me the Seattle Kraken at home against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's what I have for you. Pizzeria Monday on Martin Luther King Day. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Make sure you're subscribed here to the YouTube channel for more videos like this. And who knows? Who knows? I told you guys before the weekend I would keep you updated as to how the line combos were going. More good news. That good stretch continued. Another plus 30, about plus 30 over the weekend. Dare I say, by a mile, it's been our best stretch of the season. I don't even want to say it because I don't want to jinx it. Could the cheese be somewhat? It's like Jeepers Creepers. This thing can come back and then it eats as much as it wants for as long as it wants. But can it maybe be a little bit in the rear view? I hope so. I will keep you updated. That, obviously, as always, is available over on the Patreon. That's where you can go to support this show, support what you see here. It's patreon.com/AndyFrancis. Hope to see you there. If not, I will see you for the next round of NHL Sniffs. Take it easy.